storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Good afternoon, F1 fans. We are ready for the Season 4 kickoff of Green Hell Racing's F1 League starting in Britain. We have a long season ahead of us. Unlike GT3, the F1 season runs about 12 weeks, if my memory serves. And so we are in for a number of great Saturdays of racing with the F1 guys on Xbox over at Green Hell Racing. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's Adam. I'm here to bring you as much action as possible. And much like last week's social race, this is still a learning process, but I'm going to do my best to capture each and every bit of it for you as we follow these guys through a good number of laps today, a full race, I should say, versus the short social race that we saw last week. CRS Ben's in the chat. Welcome, sir. Happy to have you here. Happy to anybody that's hanging out with us this afternoon. Where I don't know where you are, but where I am, it is a gloriously sunny day, and we shall see, hopefully, sunny on the racetrack at Silverstone for our drivers today. And as we bring it in, J-Dan is here. J-Dan 1215, what is going on? Thanks for joining us. And let's take a quick look over here and move before race time. We're going to go ahead and get started with a little bit of pre-show because, well, why not, right? And as we do so, let's go ahead and bring up our track guide to show you guys, like we try and do every week, exactly what our drivers can expect during today's race. And I just realized there's no audio with it, so it's all right, we're going to fix that. Or we're not going to fix it. It's all right. I will get that repaired.
Entry 50 meters for Brooklyn's
There we go.
fifth gear.
Sorry about that,
try
folks.
And, prevent the wheel spin there. And then Luffield as well, the very long right-hander using the AstroTurf on the exit. Then Woodcock completely flat out there, and then down the old start-finish straight towards the very famous Cops Corner, completely flat out in 8th gear using all the track that you can. Make sure you don't let those rears slip, and now into the famous section of Maggots, Beckett's, and then the Chapel Curve as well at the end of it. All about the exit as well, and keeping the speed up through that sequence as you open DRS for the Hangar Straight for the second and final time on this lap. The best overtaking opportunity here at Stowe Corner, down into 6th gear using all the track that you can. Very, very easy to run wide there. And then into the Vale Chicane for the final 3 corners. The Vale Chicane, just getting the best exit that you can through the flat-out right-hander of Club, and that is a lap around Silverstone. Thank you for watching another Misfits Racing League video. The setup uses on your screen now, so feel free to pause and copy it down to get yourself up to speed as fast as possible. If you like this video, click that like button and subscribe to the Misfits for more F1 2021 content.
So there you go, guys. Again, Misfits Racing League over on YouTube if you are looking for more track guides and setups. As near as I know, they tag the end of every track guide with a setup specific to that track. And before we get started here, 1 minute to race time, I want to make sure we mention, again, if you're interested, multitwitch.tv will allow you to watch not only here, but all of the racers that we have today. They are shown there on your screen. I can't promise that every one of them is streaming, but if you go take a look, you're going to find that most of them are. As we move over to our game screen and get ready for today's race. As you see there, 26 laps. Thank you, Ben. I am hydrating with liquid. Thank you. That has been taken care of. I appreciate that. It will keep me going for the next race here. So as you see there, 26 laps. And let me jump back real quick just because I didn't have time to mention it. Right here is your driver list for this season up to this point. Of course, we can have some drivers join later in the season. So, One Allman, is this a group race or is a race made by the developer? No, this is just this is Green Hell Racing League, sir. We race ACC and F1. F1 and ACC on Xbox. Also, ACC on PC League is getting started as well. So, and we can take a look here at who is driving for who and who the team members are. This week's race, one race this week, Pro and Am drivers running together, which will make it interesting. But I will do my best to keep everything straight, although I doubt I will be able to keep up with who's a pro and who's an am, at least not yet, not this early in the season. And as we see there, Dan said we would be just starting in about 5 minutes. I don't know if these guys, like the GT3 racers, are having a driver's meeting beforehand, but hopefully they can get that kicked off and we will get down on the track. We do have a short qualification beforehand. No, Almond, I am not racing. I am here to watch the race and commentate. I will be spectating only. So, Steadfast, welcome to the show, man. Glad you're here. I know you're unable to go ahead and join the racing due to new folks in the household, but that's great that you're here and able to make it to watch the rest of these guys drive today. And Oilball, I will be happy to take care of that for you, but that will happen at the end of the race, and we will wait until that gets started. Hopefully no bugs today. I haven't seen any yet. I know that Dan had posted that there was an update for the game, so I went in earlier today and make sure that was there, and I didn't have to wait for anything to get started today. And luckily able to jump in and get right into that spectator slot. So I will not be driving for anyone, as you can see there on your screen, as hopefully folks start to ready up, and we will get ready to kick off the season opener of GHR's F1 League. And I see all the party people are here today, including Chief Blaze, Oilval, little One Allman in the chat. Steadfast is here. Baby's asleep, so that's good. We got that going for us. I do welcome all of you all to the stream. And while we wait for this to kick off, I will let you know, much like I told Oilball, I will be happy to redeem that for you at the end of the race. But race days are a little different. Sound alerts will not play, things of that nature. So got to keep that to a minimum while trying to pay attention to the racing, which hopefully I can do. Any idea who's favored for this? I have not an idea because I have not watched these guys drive a whole lot. I know last week during the social race, Ryan was wicked fast and was able to stay ahead for pretty much all the race. Beyond that, I'm not really sure. Rob24K, you're right. I am the GOAT. What can I say? If you're gonna, you know what? I might as well lean into it. You said it, not me, but I might as well go ahead and lean into it, right? I think Chief would probably disagree, Red as well, but that's okay. They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to have that opinion. Just because it's wrong, we don't need to tell them that. Which one is Ryan? I don't actually see Ryan on the list, at least not. Unless he changed his Xbox name. I thought Ryan was right in his Xbox name, so. Be hopefully kicking off here in just another minute or so. Until then, reminder for anyone watching that normally might not join us. Tomorrow, At 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have the next and actually the final race of Season 7 of GT3 Racing for Green Hell at Imola, both Pro and Am races running starting at 12:45 tomorrow. You should absolutely come back and join us for that. Always a fun time. And those races, as far as I know, will be split tomorrow, so we'll run through both of those, one right after the other. You'll get to see the likes of Chief Blaze and Red Rider, although Red will not be driving tomorrow. You get to watch them drive, much like they did last night. Although Chief did excellent last night during our Friday night session that we like to hold together. Able to outpace Red by quite a bit, I would say. So there you go. Countdown qual starts in just 10 seconds. We will get in and start taking a look at our drivers. And again, guys, first race of the season. I'm going to do my best to keep up on all this. Bigelow was an excellent help in sending me some information on, to make sure I have a little bit greater understanding. I'm going to do the best I can. I'll probably still miss stuff, but that's okay. That's quite all right. I will continue to learn it as we go, so this should be fun. Thank the Lord Kippy can't torment us AMs in F1. I don't know who Kippy is, but I don't think anybody's going to torment y'all. You're right, Red. Chief is the AM class sandbagger now. We watched him last night lead out 2 races. And he only lost one of them because of his own goofiness literally right before the start-finish line on the last lap. So really, I don't know. He really kind of won 2 races last night. Makes me feel like he's really sandbagging kind of hard. So, Kipster. Yeah, Kipster. Kipster's the man in that Audi. I love it. Since you're just watching, can you put in any angle you want? What I can do, Almond, is I can focus on specific drivers. And I can also focus on the broadcast camera, but really the camera switches on its own in this particular game, and I can only I really only can change from driver to driver. So we will go ahead and get our spectator menu set. As we watch the guys start to roll out for qual. So far, everyone on soft tires. Now, changes could still be getting made, but everyone except Blixer on soft tires, who's going out on the medium compounds to start today's qualification at Silverstone. Or Britain, as the F1 guys call it. Someone has to tell me. I mean, I don't watch F1 very much. Once in a while, I'll put a race on. But I have to ask, is Silverstone the only British track that F1 runs, and is that why they call it Britain? So, I'm just curious. Get that track map out. Yep, we'll be watching. Yes, used to be Brands. Okay, that's why they all call it Britain versus just calling it Silverstone, like the rest of the human race, I guess. But I won't judge them just because their F1 drivers are a little different. That's okay. They're allowed to be. No game sound. There is game sound. It's just low. But we can certainly bring that up for you guys and make sure that it's not going to... Let me know if it's a little too loud, a little too low, and we will change it as necessary. So everybody right now moving out on their outlaps, still just showing those medium tires for Blixer. Everyone else on softs. It looks like a cloudy day at Silverstone. Very foggy. That's perfect. Excellent. Thanks, Alman. Kipster. Most F1 races are named after the country, so the French GP, Hungarian, etc. Excellent. Hey, Lynn, thanks for coming to the race today. Glad you're here. What happens if when someone crashes if it gets to that point? Well, like that. Or at least spun real good. As we watch Brendan struggle a little bit. What happens when someone crashes is there's all kinds of stuff. Yes, I have seen people that have crashed hard enough that they have retired from the race because the car no longer functions. There will be yellow flags, possible red flags, full track map. Is that even possible in this? Full track, there you go. Sorry guys. All these new options. It's very difficult to learn. So, but yeah, Almond, there can be red flags, there can be yellow flags, all that jazz. So, and there have been crashes where, you know, people can crash during qual and not finish qual, but then they can then race. They can also, as we watch, I want to see these guys as times start coming in. No red flags in this game, really? Okay. So as you can see, we've got yellow flags in Sector 2 and 3. I do wish the UI would flag out those drivers that are in yellows so we could go jump on them quickly. But without something telling us, we're not going to know. But that's surprising, no red flags. I thought they did red flags for this. So safety cars and virtual safety cars. Gotcha. Perfect. And there we go. Times are starting to clock in, folks. Paul Jones early in with a 1:26, well ahead of Sargent and Bigelow right now. We'll see as that tightens up because I know these changed quite a bit. In fact, last week during the social race, we had a change right at the end of qualification that ended up changing the whole front end of the pack as the race started. That's right, Bear says good vibes only. It's race day, so it's a good day. So Paul Jones, Sargent, Chester, and Bigelow now having set lap times. However, Bigelow no longer on track. We will see if that changes as we get into the race. A few of our drivers still in the pits. Now joining Blixer, Tsunami has fitted the medium tires. We'll see if he comes out on those here in just a moment. I'm going to move things around, guys, so we're not covering up your map there. So far, everyone relatively well spread out, with Paul Jones still holding that top spot with a 1:268 and back into the pits to make some changes. Skyline jumping up very quickly into that number 2 spot with a 1:2, just over a 1:27. Walk our way down through the grid today. Skyline again holding that number 2 spot. Sergeant Raynov. I gotta get these down. Starts our guys at 1:28. We've got 3 1:29s in so far with Chester, Bigelow, and Ferrari. CRS Ben on down to Dan Double Alpha, yet to set a lap time. We do have Brendan, and Lay Off My Salt both out on their out laps right now, and we should start seeing times from Happy Hammer as well as the Real S here very soon. And Ryan, our social race winner and last season's champion, still sitting in the pits at this time. We'll see if he starts heading out soon onto track to start setting those lap times. But again, so far, just over 10 minutes left. Paul Jones still holding on to that number 1 pole position with the only 1:26 so far today at Silverstone. down and take a look. CRS Ben with a 143. That's got to be it. I'm sure that's just a slow out second lap. I've seen him a little tighter than that. So unless he's struggling, as the brake markers are taken out by CRS Ben, who is now from a 143 has jumped up to a 126.6, taking pole position with, again, just under 10 minutes left now. On board with a lap around Silverstone. We can do that. Let me go here and take a look. We got to make sure I remember how to change cameras. We will go to Paul Jones, who is out for his out lap, so he should be pulling us around here at any moment to do a full lap around Silverstone. You guys can take a look. And Paul just now coming around to that start-finish line, and we will stay on board with him as he clears his out lap and starts running. So, listen, man, I don't control the game, Kipster. I don't. As we watch Dan 00 Alpha clearing up and now taking pole position very quickly. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't control the game. That's the sound it is giving me. I don't know why it sounds like that. Maybe he's in an electric. It's an all-electric, right? Formula E. And we see very quickly now Brennan up in number one, taking that pole position from Dan. We now have 4 drivers in that 126 as we watch Paul lose it, pushing a little hard and off into the sand. Yeah, all the onboards are like that. It's not just Paul, not just Paul Jones's vehicle. All the vehicles apparently are giving this the Tesla overcharged sound. So. As we jump back out here and take a look again at the timing board, top 4 drivers all under a 127 at this point, with Skyline and Sargent bringing up right behind them for number 5 and 6. The Martin Brundle. I am unsure who that might be. Look, even when it does it from the broadcast camera, it's still giving us that funky engine sound. So, unfortunately, it sounds like something that's going to have to be tolerated until F1 gets it together. I'm sure it's just a spectator thing because I've driven a few laps in this game and know that it doesn't do that when you're actually driving. As Brendan heads into the pits, we'll see if he makes any adjustments to come back out. Blixer and Tsunami still the only 2 running those medium tires for qual. And I'm sorry, Sargent now also running the mediums. It's currently sitting in 6th. Tsunami just setting a lap at a 137. With Blixer yet to set a qual lap for us, along with Happy Hammer Ryan, the Real S, and Lay Off My Salt, none of whom have clicked a clean lap in as of yet. We'll go down and take a look at Ryan now. Last season's champion. No, Almond, it doesn't. You don't have to if you don't set a clean lap. Near as I know, if F1 is like ACC, if you don't set a lap, you will be placed in the order that you join the server or the race. Brendan back up in the top position right now with a 1:26.1. Really tighten it down with just around 5 minutes left. So the better you do, you'll end up in the back. No, the better you do, you start in the front. So right now, Brendan's our pole position holder. I'm sure that's going to change in the next 5 minutes, but right now he's currently holding pole position, so he'll start at the front of the grid when the race starts. And then it'll fall down right through. So what you're seeing right there on the screen on the left-hand side, more than likely is the order as these guys set times. Again, it's going to change before the end of the qualification. But those 3 at the bottom who have not yet set a time, I'm assuming that is the order in which they joined, and therefore that's the order they'll be placed when the race starts if they don't set that lap time, right? Again, that's only an assumption with F1. I know that's how it will work in ACC. Assetto Corsa for GT3 racing, but F1 is a mystery, more than likely. Brendan's still holding that position. Dan able to, I think, squeeze out a little more. Still holding on to number 2, with Ryan now bumping himself up into 3rd position at Silverstone today. And we'll see. He's got 4 minutes now to see if he can close that gap a little bit more on Brendan and get started at the front. It is steadfast. I mean, at least we can hear the cars when we're in the broadcast camera view, but the minute I go, everybody now coming into the pits. Let's go find somebody out on track. I mean, you can kind of hear it's there, but it's very, very low under that whiny electrical noise. So, don't know why, but that's what they're doing with it. So Brendan back out on track now at this point, along with CRS Ben, Tsunami, and Happy Hammer. The Real S has gone into the pits. As we take a look down through, Lay Off My Salt still out trying to get himself a clean lap in for qualification. Running Scotia fuel to try and keep the vehicle as light as possible as he opens up that rear wing. Oil Ball, we don't talk about the real thing. We're here for fun and to watch some good racing. We don't talk about the real thing because it's just going to bring people out of the woodwork and it's going to be scary and sad. Lay Off My Salt finally setting a lap and getting himself right up there in P4 with just over 2 minutes left in quali before our 26 lap race at Silverstone as we watch him take a cut. Brendan back out on track. Gonna see if he can open that gap up just a little more, but now we take a look, guys, and we've got our top 6 drivers all within that 1 second mark of each other, and really our top 7, Skyline hitting the 127, but just squeaking into that 1 second mark. Nice tight numbers up front is going to keep things very close and possibly very difficult to follow. I guess if I really want to get good at this, I have to have 7 Xboxes set up so I can watch 7 different cameras, maybe? I don't know. That'd be a lot of controllers to try and handle at one time, but... Hey Les, thanks for joining, man. Meerkat, thank you guys for being here for the race today. Les, I know you're busy. Happy birthday to your sister. Hope you guys are having fun together today. Meerkat, thank you for being here. Come to join some F1 racing. Brendan opening up. Dan Double Alpha now still sitting in 2nd position. Ryan not yet able to quite catch him, just outside of 1/10 of a second. Brandon now setting a new fastest lap, opening that gap a little bit. First one to break down under 125, or sorry, 126 with a 125.8. We know Ryan's fast, last year's champion. See if he can tighten it up, bring himself back up into 4th. CRS Ben now jumping up into position 2 with Tsunami quickly knocking him down a little bit and taking that 2nd position with another 126, this time a 3 on the end of that. Ben with a 126.5. So as I said, you know, I saw this last week during the social race. I don't know why. It Could be because these guys go into the pits, they make tweaks, right, to just squeeze that little bit extra out of the car. Drop the fuel level down as low as they can, make it as light as possible to get out there right at the end of qualification and change the order up very, very quickly. So we will wait here as guys continue to finish their laps. Qual has officially ended, and they can finish out. But right now, we'll see if this grid changes up before the start of the race. Hey, Metellany, thank you so much for being here. And Ryan is still out on a lap. We'll see if he can bring himself up out of 7th. Paul now pumping him back a little bit with a 126.5, just ahead, 0.3 of a second there. And again, Happy Hammer doing the same thing. Such close times. I mean, basically at this point, our top 10... Yeah, I mean, our top 10 is all within a second of each other, guys. This is going to be tight. It's going to be some nice, tight racing out front today. Ryan did it. And I told you guys, you cannot count Qual over until the last guy is in and we're starting the race. Ryan now jumping him up to P2 to start this off. With only Tsunami, Paul Jones, Blixer. Looks like that's about it. Still out on track. No, I'm in just points and bragging rights within the league. That's it. That engine sounds good now. Yeah, I think from the broadcast camera we're good, but if now all of a sudden it sounds all right, so I don't know. Oh, you can absolutely pretend it's for $100,000. Engines sound good now, so I don't know. Game fixed itself, maybe. Maybe that's just because it's Ryan. Yeah, see, it's got to have something to do with the car. It's got to have something to do with the manufacturer. So 45 seconds to complete laps, but it looks like our grid is relatively well set at this point. Meerkat, I am doing great. It's race day. We're in for F1. Tomorrow will be GT3. So if F1 is not your hook, I encourage y'all to come back tomorrow for GT3 racing at Imola. But today we are at Silverstone in the UK. For a full grid of F1 racing. Coming up, folks, 26 laps. 26 laps of racing, and there you see your grid for the start of today's race, and you see how tight that top 10 is, all within 1 second of each other in the top 10. Just within 1 second, but it goes all the way down to Skyline sitting down there with a 126.8. Certainly not something that I don't know. I don't think we saw that last week, and again, this is the first season I'm covering for the F1 guys, but I will tell you, those are tight times. We are certainly going to see some good racing right at the front. And Kipster, you are correct. Lap 1 is going to get very, very spicy. I will do my best to focus on it as best I can for all y'all. Ferrari got some special treatment. Best engine in my team, and somehow their sound's working too. Yeah, it does look as though it's based on the vehicle, right? Based on the car, as to whether or not we get some decent engine sounds. So hopefully it's something that the developers are going to fix later on. And again, I'm sure it's... I mean, I think I've driven 2 different cars. I just get in this to tool around and try and learn it better. But they all sounded fine to me, so I have to assume it's just a spectator thing. And hopefully something they will correct at some point. You are right, Oil Ball. Here we go. It is race day. And unfortunately, I have to adjust the menu every time. So there you see the predicted stop strategy for today. We're looking at lap 9 to 12, somewhere in there, as we run our pace lap up front. Drivers will come around and set up, ready to go. And Blixer and Chester here, both disqualified from the race already. So we'll have to see why and what happened there. Got hit on the formation lap. Oh, that's right. I forget that you can be disqualified on the formation lap, but then still be able to race. It's very confusing for F1. I apologize, folks. To me, disqualified's disqualified, and the formation lap's part of it, but that's because I watch and drive GT3. So. But the predictor showing one stop from going from softs to mediums or softs to hard, and we see the Real S starting on hard tires today. Blixer and Chester both starting on the mediums. So formation laps just basically a run around the track, get the drivers in line and where they need to be. They'll pull up to the start-finish line. Everybody stops, and then green, 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 and off we go. As everyone falls into position, we are ready for the opening round in Britain at Silverstone. And off we go. It is racing lap 1 of 26. Brendan up front with Ryan right behind him, and they are going wide and fast today. And I see cones flying, and we have cars side by side by side. As we jump back through, Paul Jones losing position. Happy Hammer able to get in front of him. They're playing back and forth a little bit. But so far, some clean racing. With Brendan already having... Oh, I love... The cameras here are as good as they are on ACC when it comes to actually following the drivers. That's awesome. If we take a look... I was trying to catch these guys far apart. It was a half-second interval. But Brendan's still riding out front, able to hold onto that pole position. But Ryan not giving up, right behind him right now. And we've got folks off track back here. Bigelow having gone off track towards the back, and looks like Paul Jones also struggling back there, possibly having destroyed his vehicle to the point where we won't be seeing him again today. Brendan now trying to stretch it out and hold Ryan off. Dan Double-O Alpha now out in first. This thing does not update well at all. He's not in first. Come on. And there you guys see where I get confused, because our after the first lap it did this last week too. So again, one of those things that you have to get used to when you're watching these races is that Dan Double-O Alpha is not in first. I believe Brendan is still running up front with Ryan right behind him. Yeah, so that's where we're at. But This is the kind of thing that happens with this for some reason. It's like it's still looking at the last lap, but it looks like Paul Jones, has a terminal issue and is now out of today's race. As we stay up front with 3 now running tight, Brendan, Ryan, and Dan, all very, very close at the front of the pack. Looks like Bigelow has pulled a penalty. We go on board with Ryan right behind Brendan. As we start seeing who has the fastest lap today, Brendan able to pull ahead relatively easily from Ryan, and Dan able to stick right with him as well. And BK Ferrari already into the pits. Looks like we missed an incident at the back of the pack that terminated Paul Jones's race. Happy Hammer now left the session, so possible disconnect there. And we see Bigelow with that 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He may have been having trouble if he was involved in an incident, may have been having trouble steering the vehicle and keeping it on track. But Brendan and Ryan still keeping it very tight up front. Ryan not giving much of a gap at all. It looks like Brendan's able to open it up, but then Ryan closes that gap right back up on him. As we go side by side, Ryan making that push. And able to clear. Ryan now leading the race, getting out ahead of Brennan. And Dan Double O Alpha also making that move. Brennan possibly struggling with something right now as he drops off more and more drivers going around him. Let's take a look back at Brennan and see if something's happened to him specifically. He's still driving. Lots of penalties flowing in now. Now we'll see if Brennan pushes his way back up through to the front. Lost a lot of position there. Back into number 5. Ryan now opening up the gap in front of Dan Double O Alpha up front to about 1 second. As we take a look, Brandon able to gain back 1 position over Tsunami so far. Given he was the only driver during qual to break under 126, I don't think we'll see him stay back that far that long. As he looks to make another move, trying to get around Salt. DRS is open and he is running. They both are. Dan able to make the, or I'm sorry, Brendan able to make the move and still side by side, but getting the inside corner around him and able to secure that position from Salt. Coming back around. Excellent move on Brendan's part to get around there and get himself pushing back towards the front of this pack. With Ryan still holding a 9/10 to a 1 second gap over Dan at this point. continue to watch that, see if it tightens up at all. But Salt now trying to make the move and come back on Brendan. Not willing to give that position up. And again, clears that move, but it's some excellent racing. These guys keeping it clean all the way around. We've got Brendan, Salt, and Tsunami all running close at this point. None of them willing to give up on the other. I believe, if I am not mistaken, we are about to hit another DRS zone, and we'll see what happens here as we watch them open them up. Salt able to hold on. This is definitely where the racing is right now. We've got a train of 5 cars. Salt, Brendan, Tsunami, Sargent, and Blixer all holding it very tight through here together. We will see who can come out on top before the end of this as these guys run. Brendan going a little wide there, losing some time off of Salt. But able to tighten it back up. And they're once again going side by side. Dan now tightening it up on Ryan. Not content. Tsunami with a 3-second penalty. As we take a quick look here now, and at lap 7, Ryan and Dan running together up front, but have stretched it out in front of Salt, Brendan, Tsunami, and Blixer. Even those guys are spread 2 and 2 at this point, versus all running together, with Tsunami and Blixer about a second and a half behind Brendan and, Salt and Brendan. Brendan not giving up, still wanting to take that number 3 spot back and get himself a podium today. With 26 laps and a strategy to try and make just one stop. Really going to have to see who can play their tires right to the end of this, and when these guys start going into the pits, right? Do you pit early? Do you pit late? How long do you think your tires are going to last? If you do that early pit and try and hold on through the whole race, are you able to get far enough ahead that you'll be able to? And there we see Lay Off My Salt has spun himself. Brendan able to take that position back. I did not catch contact there, but we will have to have a look after possibly. Salt now back down into number 8 position as we watch Brendan with Blixer now a full 2 seconds behind. And Brendan able to cruise in that number 3 position with right now nobody to trouble him. As we take a look back, Blixer with Tsunami right there. These guys have been running close as well. Tsunami giving up very little on Blixer in regards to time, keeping it very tight. Brendan and Dan both with penalties now. And I would say at this point, over half our field sitting on penalties for track limit warnings. As we take a look, Dan 00 Alpha now showing up front as Ryan comes into the pits. Very early pit for him after only 9 laps. Have to see what that strategy is and if he intends to stop again or if he thinks he's going to be able to hold tires throughout the entire thing. We see Brennan as well at this point coming into the pits. Watch that. And now we see Skyline with another 3-second penalty. And Brennan going out on the medium tires. Ryan as well swapping to the mediums. As we head back up front here, Blixer now running in second with Tsunami in third, trying to stay as close as he can, but that gap starting to open up as we take a look at Sargent with DOR Skyline right up on him. Again, over half our field now with penalties sitting. And we take a look back. Salt now making the move up on Skyline. Salt able to make that move, and we will see if Sargent is next on the list as they both head into the pits. Sargent able to roll on for now with no trouble. Skyline picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So again, 10 laps in, good number of guys making pit stops already. And again, given the strategy of trying to do one, have they decided that one is just not feasible? Or are they going to try and stretch medium, and we see Tsunami coming out on hard compound tires along with their... No, I think the Real S hasn't pitted yet. And therefore able to climb up to number 4. But we do know Tsunami came back out on hard, so we'll have to see how that impacts his race as we move forward. With Tsunami running only less than half a second behind Chester, and Brendan right there with him. All of them making the move together. Let's play threes. And Tsunami so far really able to make those hard compound tires work for him. We'll see if he can make them last, or how long he makes them last. Brendan now with the move on the inside, able to take that position back from Tsunami. The Real S is in for some real trouble if these guys can catch up. Only 3 seconds back and the gap closing quick. And now Brendan's setting the fastest lap of the race so far, and all these guys jumping up over Chester. Again, Brendan closing that gap quickly on the Real S. Now down to 1.7 seconds. I'm going to stick right here. Now, while he's been working on catching S, he has been able to open up against Tsunami a little bit, now over 1 second between the two of them. And the folks in the chat will correct me if I'm wrong, but that DRS is only allowed to be opened if you are within 1 second of the car in front, with Brendan making a nice move around S, very quickly taking him on the outside, but with no problem whatsoever to get ahead. An oil ball, you were probably unable to hear that. It did go off in my ears, however, so I thank you for that. But for race days, I've turned those off to make sure I can focus right here. As we take a look at the grid, the interval now quite spread out amongst all of our drivers. But as we jump up front to take a look, and with this spread, we will take a moment. We're going to go back and take a look at Tsunami here in just a second, with Ryan W. now setting the fastest lap of the 126. Blixer leading out front, Dan Double Alpha 19 seconds back, Brendan, the Real S, and now Tsunami coming up on Real S real quick are your top 5. Tsunami looking to make that play as quickly as possible. And again, so far the hard compound tires working well for him. Tsunami able to make that move and get around S. More very quickly coming up behind him. Sergeant Raynov. Brendan now with a fast lap of 1:2.78. Looks like Sergeant Raynov wanting to make the move on S. Sergeant Raynov makes his move along with Chester here. And we see that Salt now jumping up as well. I'm sorry, Raynov. Very confusing very quickly, but you can see now that all of our drivers are on either the mediums or the hard compound tires. Still a lot of penalties floating out there as Blixer continues to lead the race. Not yet having pitted, and we are just about halfway through at this point. What happened with Ryan so far back? Ryan, bad pit stop maybe? I'm really not 100% sure. He's yet to make up time from the pit he did take to go and make that tire change. As we take a jump up here. Sarge now right up on the back of Tsunami. Bigelow now with another 3-second penalty for multiple track limit warnings. Take a look here and watch Sergeant Raynov continue to put pressure on Tsunami. And you heard it open, folks. There it goes. And he's able to make that move very quickly. Getting around Tsunami on the straight. And I heard that beep while we were on board. Lay off my Salt as well, driving in the same group right now, having caught back up with Tsunami. So we've got, again, 3 racers running together. Sergeant Raynov doing his best to push his way right to the front. Salt doing his best to try and get Tsunami. And there he goes right there. Brendan another 3-second penalty. And Chester a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he heads in. So as we look, Blixer, the only one now on the field. I'm sorry, I take that back. Blixer and S, the only 2 on the field now, who have not changed tires. Chester swapping over to the softs. Half the race left. That might get tricky, but Ryan now pulling a penalty for multiple track warnings. The Real S still attempting to take that position back from Tsunami today. He's already able to clear Skyline. Oh, where'd we go here? Hold on. I don't know why it jumped on me, folks. This thing is weird. Salt now pushing back up on Rainoff. DRS is open and gets around him. Rainoff spins as they go around. We'll have to see if there was contact there. The guys will let us know in the Discord, that's for sure. But Salt able to push himself up into number 4. Hopefully there was no contact there. Hopefully there was no contact there, because to that point both drivers racing very clean. BK Ferrari 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. We are pulling multiple warnings for everybody today. Chester, the only one, along with now Skyline in the pits, going to those soft compound tires. Blixer still running hard out front. Now at this point, Blixer now coming into the pits. 15 laps on those tires, less than half the race left, obviously, right? 10 laps. And with a 16-second lead over Dan, whatever he goes to, if he can make it last and he can get out of the pits quickly, let's stick right here. He's pulled no penalty to this point. He is on his way back out. Dan able to get around. Pit speed's just too slow to let Pixar stay out there, but Dan pitted very early, number 1. Number 2 is sitting on that penalty. So, you know, it's going to be fun up front as we watch Blixer clear pit speeds and able to get back out on track in 3rd position. It is a big tunnel, Red. You can't hear it. It's awesome. Tsunami now having dropped back off of Salt by around a second. And our field is pretty well spread out to this point, except for these two. Take a drop back and watch Tsunami try and play catch up here a little bit. So as we do take a look, as the chat has stated, Blixer out on softs now, no penalties. Him and Salt, the only 2 still on the field, having pulled none. And we will get to see if that fact alone is enough to help them stay or put them at the front of this pack when the race is over. So as Blixer tightens up to Brendan slowly, possibly. If he can get that gap closed up, and providing again, Dan Double Alpha, Brendan, both pitting early, both going with mediums. Will they have to go back in and get off those tires, or will they attempt to stay out for the entire race? It all comes down to that pit strategy. Salt now opening up to a 1.6 gap with Tsunami behind him. So we head back. Ryan now only 0.6 back off of the Real S. BK Ferrari with a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Let's take a look at Ryan and see where this ends up. Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. I will do so, but I saw Ryan tightening up, and going to take a quick look here. to very cleanly and easily make that move on the Real S. And plenty of gap. The Real S now a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, trying to push himself hard to keep Ryan at bay, and unfortunately did not help him. As we go in quickly and take a look at the race director while we have a break here. Let's see. Incidents. We've got collisions. We did have collisions up front. Now, we kind of knew that, right? Happy Hammer collided with Lay Off My Salt. We did see him have to drop. A lot of exceeding track limits today. Corner cutting. Multiple warnings. Track limits. Track limits. Yeah, it's really not. It's hard. It just shows incidents down all the way through. But what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing incidents. I'm not seeing collisions the further down we go. If we look at the laps there on the side, so, you know, the question about whether, you know, did Sargent and Salt tap or what have you, I'm not seeing anything like that. So. Blixer has now picked up that 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. The details for this left were not released. Oh, right there. And there we take a quick look at penalties, guys. Dan 00 Alpha now pulling another one. Total of 6 seconds. Lay Off My Salt, the only driver on the field today with no penalties at this point. Both Dan and Brendan with 6 seconds each, making it a wash, provided Blixer doesn't catch up. Provided Blixer doesn't catch up. Again, as we take a look back through here, all at one stop right now. But no matter what, when we take a look at this, right, just here real quick, and again, 6 laps left, nothing set in stone. Why would it be? The checkered flag has not flown. But if I'm Blixer, right now, I'm very happy. I've gone up 8 positions today. Are you kidding me? I crushed it. BK Ferrari pulling another penalty. As we go take another look, he's now up to 12 seconds worth of penalties. Bigelow right there with him with 9, and now Ryan pulling another 3-second penalty to give himself 6. Dan's got to maintain that 2-second lead with penalties. Yes, he does. Well, let's go up and take a quick look at the front of the pack here. Dan 00 Alpha still running in first. Take a quick look back at the tires, but currently leading by about 8 seconds. But we know sitting on a 6-second penalty, as is Brandon, another 6-second penalty, and Blixer now with a 3-second penalty. So penalties all around today as Sarge heads back into the pits to make another stop. He has decided to come back out on those soft compound tires. So Sarge and S both going in for second stops, and Ryan in for a second stop, still though with himself in 6th place. Skyline now pulling another 3-second penalty. Chief, I think you can barely do math when you are working. We talked about this. Sarge now getting right up on the back end of CRS Ben. Yes, Namaste Maru, everybody except Salt has penalties as we watch Sarge make that move, open it up, and get around CRS Ben very cleanly. And Ben losing it behind him now. Out and off track, pushing just a little too hard after the position had been given up. So not quite sure why, unless he just couldn't pull himself out of it. So at this point, Salt the only one sitting with no penalties. I think if Blixer kept himself clean, I would hope he'd be able to come up on one of these guys. The gap's still open a little bit, but with a 6-second penalty on Brendan, him only 4 seconds behind. 6-second penalty, 4 seconds, that's 10 seconds, plus 3 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I think Blixer, if he can push himself up a little harder and tighten that gap up on Brendan, at least takes P2 at the end of this. Salt with no penalties, possibly having a chance to tighten it up as well. Ryan W. back into the pits again. Today is definitely not his race. Blixer gets within 3 seconds of Brendan. And currently we're at 3.7, and he has been tightening that gap the entire race, so I think we've got a good chance of seeing that. As we watch back here towards the back of the pack, Real S. Ryan able to hold on to 7th position even with another trip to the pit lane. As we look, Ryan now the only one having done 3 stops during today's race. Skyline quickly tightening up on S, the Real S. And Tsunami with another 3-second penalty. And we'll check those here again in just a moment. As we watch Skyline try and close this gap and get around. Sargent with another 3-second penalty. So at this point, folks, knowing who finished in what position is not going to be easy until penalties are cleared. Again, Skyline still trying to close this up with us, not yet able to make the move. As we go on board with him. And we watch the SWAT. There it goes. Skyline not able to quite hold it yet. We will see if S can bring it back around, but he pulls another 3-second penalty in trying to push to keep Skyline from getting around him. As we jump up here to the front, Blixer now a 4-second gap to Brendan. It was tightening up. Brendan trying to stretch those tires as far as they will go, coming down to the final laps. Ryan setting the new fastest lap at a 1:27. let's take another quick look at our penalty count. So now Brendan with a 9-second penalty. I would say that Blixer does not need to get that 3 seconds. He does definitely need to hold on to where he is, though, just to be sure, given he's carrying a 3-second penalty of his own. Salt still the only one to make it through the race cleanly with not a single second of penalties. Sarginoff earning himself another 3, now up to 9 seconds. Everybody gonna hit double digits today, with BK Ferrari leading the pack. Ryan W pulling himself another 3 seconds. Steadfast, no problem, man. Anytime somebody brings a baby into the world, we gotta celebrate that kind of stuff. 100%. Hope you guys are getting settled and everything's starting to flatten out a little bit for you now. It's always crazy, but at least if the crazy isn't so high up and down, you know what I mean? It gets a little bit better. Love it, man. Tell you right now, it goes fast. It goes real fast. Well, Red, don't tell him. If you tell him, you ruin it. He has to figure out on his own that he's never gonna be like used to it. Because as soon as you're used to it, everything changes. Just don't tell him. BK Ferrari for another penalty. Now at 15 seconds. Let's go back and take a look. Ryan, right up on the back of Sarge. Both of them with equal penalties, so should help. Dan has finished out. Blixer in second with Brendan in third. So we watch here towards the end, see if Ryan can tighten this up. If I was in 13th, I don't think I'd be worried about track limits either. If I didn't have to get drive-thrus for him. Ryan able to make that move and get ahead of Sarge right at the end here. More penalties, 5-second penalty, 3-second penalty. Sarginoff now up to 12 seconds. Ryan getting a little nudge there, it looks like, right here at the end. Little swale coming out of that final corner as they come across. Ryan able to hold on, but Sarge with another 3-second penalty means he was probably in trouble anyway. But Ryan was able to hold on to that position. As we come back and watch the guys continue to cross the line. And that is going to do it for today's race of F1 Green Hell Racing. I thank y'all for joining me. It is very, very much appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, these commentaries for F1 will continue to get better. There is Blixer as your driver of the day. And like I said, the guy brought himself up 8. Now we know finished in second. So we're talking, what, 9 positions during the course of the race. So really, I think that's a great job for him to be able to come up 9 positions and finish in second. Penalties are no, it's one of those great things. Don't worry, I'll get them in. I will get them in. Just waiting for standings to come through here so we can see the final tally before we finish out. Oilball does it again. Thanks. Now I'll have to do more. That's awesome. And there are your standings for today, folks. The only one with a clean time being Lay Off My Salt. No penalties, but Dan 00 Alpha finishing out in number 1, Blixer number 2, and Brendan finishing out your podium in number 3. And only, I believe, because of penalties, Lay Off My Salt Tsunami in your top 5. Ryan coming in at 6, and we know how fast he is. So we will be sure to continue to watch him. Sarge, CRS Ben, Skyline, and the Real S finish out your top 10 with Bigelow, Chester, Ferrari, and Happy Hammer rolling out the grid. And again, I thank y'all for joining me this week. We will be back next week for more F1 action. And don't forget, we will be back tomorrow for GT3 Racing, the season close of Season 7 of Xbox ACC Racing at Imola Pro and Am races. We'll get to watch them both right here. And not only that, but in a week after that, we have qualifying for the Endurance with the Endurance at Kalami. coming up on August 8th for GT3 Racing. And again, we will be back for F1 next week if that is your hook. Thank you again for all joining me. I appreciate all you guys being here so much. It's awesome being able to talk to everybody and learn about F1 as we do this. So keep coming back, guys, and great race to the drivers today. I will see you guys next week.